Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch. The leaders since 1974. You've heard me say time and time again, they are NAIA, born and bred over there, and they know how to get it done for your team. Tonight, we've got a newcomer to the NAIF Ball Podcast. Not a new team, but a new head coach, AB Stokes, who took over Bethel of Kansas last year after the departure of Terry Harrison. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great today. I'm happy that I'm able to be on the show. I'm a big fan. I watch it. I watch it all the time. I watch all of the rankings and all that stuff. So I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, love hearing that coaches are fans. I always I always wonder about some of the demographics, and I love hearing that because that means that some of our sponsors get to hit their target demos as well. Um, well, Coach, looking at your team last year, um, I noticed the silliest thing, and that's that Bethel is not running the flex bone. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Let me tell you,
yeah,
it was a little weird to see a Bethel quarterback in the shotgun. I had to kind of rub my eyes there for a second,
yeah.
going, "Oh
You,
dear, what is this?"
yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's not an easy transition, and I know y'all were still very, very run heavy, just from a different angle.
hmm
But what's the hardest part of transitioning a team away from just a very pure flex bone option offense to something a little bit more spread option and modern?
Well, I can tell you what. I think the hardest part. It probably differs for every program that changes from maybe some form of an offense to another. But for us, the hardest part changing from the flex at Bethel College, where we were, I say we, but Bethel was extremely successful running the flex bone. So the hardest part was kind of getting people to buy into the ideal of, hey, we can be successful with the spread or a different offense. And so I think that was probably the hardest part. Even with some of the coaches held over, I can remember being in early meetings, and I'm guilty of it as well because I was on staff with Coach Harrison a few years prior to his departure, and it's I'm guilty of it as well. I'll sit in meetings and I'll be like, hey, well, this is how we did it in the flex, or this is what makes the flex good, or this is how we have to practice. So just in figuring out what works within the spread offense that maybe didn't we couldn't do with a flex team, or what did we do with a flex team that we can't do with a spread team. So I think that was the hardest transition, was just the overall just buy-in.
Yeah, and we've seen it with teams like Georgia Tech. When they brought on Jeff Collins, going away from the Paul Johnson um, triple. It takes a couple years, but y'all seem to very much hit the ground running, and so that's a credit to y'all's coaching and being able to bring in the right guys who are able to learn those new concepts.
Yeah,
You had mentioned that you were coming back, and yeah, absolutely, your offensive coordinator for Bethel during a great portion of Bethel's big glow up, as it were.
yeah.
Um, what's it like coming back and kind of passing your old office and going, no, 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 I get the big one this time.
I like my old office better. Every day I contemplate going back in there. Every day I'm like, man, I like this one better. Uh, and not as many responsibilities in that office. But no, it's been a joy coming back, and that's one of the things that really brought me back to Bethel is the work environment, the people, the administration, and the other coaches on the floor, and from the president, everybody at Bethel. I just had a great relationship, and I think they try to do things the right way at Bethel for sure. And I was excited to just get back and work with a great group of people.
Now, looking back through your schedule from last year, one thing really strikes me, um, you know, bigger than any other, and that is that win at Kansas Wesleyan. I mean, that's boy, Heidi.
Yeah, yeah,
I clicked that history link
yeah,
on your website, and I see that 13 game losing streak from
yeah.
2009 to 2021. Man, what was that like in the immediate aftermath, knowing that you'd gotten that KW Coyote off your back?
Well, it was somewhat surreal. I just remember I dropped down to my knees. I'll tell you the truth, man. I was thanking God. I'm very I would say spiritual. I would say spiritual, man. I dropped down to my knees. I was just thanking God. But it wasn't. It was surreal, but it wasn't like unbelievable because funny thing is, I thought that this was our best chance to beat them because if you're a score watcher, you'd see that they had beat an opponent by massively. I don't think they had given up a point up until we played them in the season, and we were struggling. I mean, we'd had a 1 point victory, and then like maybe it was like an 8 or 9, maybe 10 point victory or 12 point victory against a common opponent. You know what I mean? And so I knew that I knew that it was a perfect time to be underestimated. And honestly, we walked in on Sunday morning in our meetings, or Sunday afternoon in our meeting, and I swear to goodness, I told the guys, I said, hey, you know what? I woke up this morning, I decided that, hey, we're gonna win this game on next Saturday. We're gonna win this game, and I told them I want them eating their cereal like they plan on winning the game, and everything they do, you better do it like you plan on winning the game. And that was the theme of thing when you get on the bus, plan on winning the game. It was a crazy game because it was a weather delay. We actually ended up coming back on the Sunday, and we kept saying the Banner Threshers, like, hey, this is our sign. You know what I mean? That hey, we're gonna drag this out. We'll play on Monday if we have like that was the kind of the mood of the locker room. So it just always felt like we had a chance to win, and I don't want to make it seem like Kansas Wesleyan didn't do really good things because I mean they had a chance to beat us at the end of the game. It was a great game, but I do. I would be lying if I didn't tell you that we didn't come in with the mind. We came in with the mindset that we wanted to win the game. We didn't care what the score said. We knew everybody outside of our program probably had written us off, and so that's the best time. That's the best time to play. I've been an underdog all my life. You know what I mean? All my life. I had to fight and scratch and claw for everything that I've ever gotten. Everything that I have, I've always came through the back door. So it just lined up to be a perfect time for our program.
And you were spot on that. It's a 1 point win over McPherson. It's a 12 point win at Friends, who Kansas Wesleyan had dispatched at home in the first week of their season by 70 points. You talk about that common opponent. You're talking about a whale of a swing there. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, absolutely. And then later on the season you get Southwestern and Avila back to back. We know what happens there, and we're sitting there score watching and tabulating scores at the end of the year and trying to figure out who's gonna do what. And I
Yep.
know that it was. I know it was hard for y'all on Selection Sunday to have to watch that and just watch the spots slowly get filled up and going.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where uh, I had faith all the way up until it was over that we would get in, but um, I think the people around us, administration, I think they kind of had a clue because they had experience with being selected and then not being selected, and when you don't hear from anybody, it's probably not a good sign. You know what I mean? And I mean our phones were silent. I was trying to call and get any kind of information that I could, and I was trying to do everything I could to kind of get an idea to prepare my team, but we had to sit there and we watched it and we didn't get in and it hurt. But you know what? Things happen for reasons, and it's a feeling that we haven't forgotten. We haven't forgotten the feeling, and it's not like a slight or like we feel like we're slighted or anything. We just feel like we came up short. We had a perfect opportunity and we didn't take advantage of it in the game, and it cost us. And if we just want to moving forward, we want to try our best to keep it in our own hands if at all possible. And I'm not saying that hey we finna run the table next year. No, every year it's its own year. But the deeper you get into a season, the more you know what's at stake. I promise you this: if we do have an opportunity, those last games are going to be played harder and harder. I promise you.
Well, Coach, let's take a look at your team coming up and kind of who's leaving, because as we've been watching the Threshers over the last few years, there's a couple names here, offense and defense, that are leaving that are the very much the OGs of Bethel
Oh yeah,
football.
yeah, for sure, for
On
sure.
offense, it's absolutely Chance Scurry. That man
Yeah.
has been around Bethel for what feels like 7 years. Hard-nosed runner. But you do return a couple of all-conference offensive linemen in Cole Herman, Ryan Junkermeyer. You return your quarterback, DJ Sears. That can't be anything but good there. He was a great dual threat
Mhm.
through the air and on the ground. You return your running back, Cassius McCray there, who was kind of your lead back, first among equals there for you. Talk to
Mhm.
me about, at least offensively replacing one of the OGs in Chance Scurry.
Yeah, Chance was just. I mean, he was everything that you want in a football player, on and off the field, and that's hard to replace because he was a leader, definitely by example, but guys respected him a lot, and I feel like we've got a really good running back room, as far as talent and leadership, and that's a credit to Chance of showing some of those guys how to lead. I mean, he's gonna be hard to replace, but I know these guys are definitely they're up for the challenge of not just replacing him, but we call it honoring. We want to honor the guys who came before him, and Chance is definitely a guy who will be honored.
So, Coach, defensively, you've got an all-conference selection returning at every level of your defense, whether it be Doug Grider, Cade Miller, or Brendan Sanders going from front to back here. But again, you're having to replace one of the OGs and Josh Seabolt, and yeah, you got another Seabolt on your roster at linebacker.
Yeah.
Uh, but talk to me about getting better with what was already a good defense.
Well, the thing about when you talk about, I want to address Seabold and those guys first. You talk about Seabold, you talk about somebody who definitely an OG. Him and Chance Curry, the same level. The only difference between Chance and Seabold is I personally recruited Josh Seabold to Bethel College, and so he was a big reason um, of why I came back. Um, and again, those guys you can't replace. You just have to honor those guys. And but that the defense, Coach Schultz and Coach Markham, they're our co-defensive coordinators. Man, they do just such a great job. And I watch the offense go up against them every day. We're in spring ball now, and we watching these guys, and we're just like, it's another year in the system, and I think that you know that's going to help with some of the defensive success that I'm quite sure we're going to see. I'm quite sure we're going to see some defensive success, and uh, I think that our defense definitely will be one of the strong points of our offense. I mean, of our overall team. Um, so just being in the system again, those guys, they play so fast. It seems like they know their assignments really well now. They know calls to different kind of sets and fronts, and uh, and they just play so fast. They just play, and that's the thing that's going to continue to contribute to the success on the side of that ball.
So, Coach, you had talked about not hearing the call there on Selection Sunday. Obviously Southwestern and Avila both get in.
Mhm.
It has not been that terribly long since it was Kansas Wesleyan being the only KCAC team, and there
Yeah.
was a lot of shade on K-Dub that the KCAC was just another one of these slappy conferences that are going to go in, be a one and done, get their butt kicked, and go home. And that is not what the KCAC is anymore. First it was y'all pushing for a bid, getting a bid.
Yeah.
Southwestern comes along,
Yep.
pushing for a bid, getting a bid. Now Avila's joined the mix, pushing for a bid, getting a bid, and all of a sudden you're sitting there looking at definitely two spots, especially now with your two auto bids between the
Yeah.
between the the sides of the KCAC, but you're really pushing for three now at this point, and depending on how you do, you're getting there. You get Evangeline this year, who's a storied team with good history there. Talk to me about continuing to grow as a conference and getting better on and off the field and making sure that everyone is taken care of.
Yeah. So for me, being a new coach to the conference, I just want to do my part. You know what I mean? I know the recent history and past history of the conference, being a former player in the conference, and seeing the growth of the conference, primarily on the national stage that we're talking about. And so I just want to do my part. I want to make sure that um, we're continuing to do the things we need to do and recruit, good people and good players to put a good product on the field that definitely represents the institution, but if given the opportunity to showcase on the national stage, we do want to represent the conference really well, because we know at the end of the day, it only helps. It helps us, and it helps all of the other KCAC schools when KCAC teams are in the postseason. And so that's why, for us, it doesn't matter who it is. Truthfully, and I mean this, when playoff time rolls around, we weren't in. Man, I was hoping Avila and Southwestern went as far as they can go. You know what I mean? Like we're hoping that these guys win. Um, I actually have a pretty good relationship with Coach Griffin over at Southwestern, and other coaches in the conference as well. So. Um, like I said, as a first year coach, I'm not going to come in. I'm not going to try to change a bunch of stuff or try to act like I can create more success for the conference. No, man, I want to jump on the train and make sure that we're doing the right things to keep it going in the right direction.
Well, Coach, last year Bethel College debuted a mascot, Threshy, and let me tell you, I was watching the live stream along with a bunch of other folks on the server, and we had our own opinion about Threshy. Um, so,
Oh
Coach, I,
man,
I gotta hear it straight from your mouth. Is
yeah.
Threshy the best mascot ever? Is that man just straight nightmare fuel?
Hey, I'm rolling with Threshy. Threshy's the best mascot ever. Hey, if he's scaring other people, good for us. That's what the mascots stand for. But it's funny you say that, because uh, Threshy can get it can he can come off a little creepy, man. Like he'll just you don't want to see Threshy in the dark alley for sure. But my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, she loves him. We've got all kind of Thresher memorabilia in the house, stickers. They just released T-shirts in the bookstore. I'm gonna have to go and grab some Threshy T-shirts, but we Bethel, we love Threshy, man. It's a unique the Thresher in itself is a unique mascot. I think the only one in the country for sure. But I'm rolling with Threshy.
For me, it's the hands. For me, it's the hands. Those Thresher, like cog hands. That's that's the stuff nightmares are made of.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
coach,
for sure.
coach, eh, if you're not improving, personally, professionally, if your team's not improving, you're falling behind. That's just how
Mhm.
things are. So what area of your program, whether it be on the field or off the field, are y'all really putting focus into in 2023?
Well, we definitely focus way more off the field because the on the field stuff, if you look at it as far as time spent throughout a whole year, is very very minute. It's very small. You know what I mean? So uh, our focus always goes into trying to do little things right. Like we spend a lot of I personally spend a lot of time going over grade checks on our guys. I spend a lot of time looking at attendance to make sure guys are going to things. I personally go and wake guys up if they're missing 6 a.m. weights. Like I'm banging on the door like I'm Chicago police. You know what I mean? Like I'm banging on that thing and, just holding guys accountable and consistently trying to just get better at little life things because, our whole uh, philosophy is that if you can do those things that I don't in no way shape or form do I want to promote football over education, but a lot of guys who play football, they go to college with football being their primary, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And for us, I say that's easy to do something full speed, something that you're passionate about. It's the things that you don't necessarily want to do. Matter of fact, I heard somebody say, I think it was Mike Tyson. I'm quoting Mike Tyson here. He said,
Heck yeah.
"Discipline is doing what you hate like you love it," and that's kind of what we want our guys to do. We want them to they may hate this chemistry class, but they need to get there. They need to invest in it, and they need to take it seriously. And because the whole philosophy is if you can do things that you're not so passionate about at a high level, I know you're going to do the things that you're passionate about at a high level. And so that's where a lot of our focus goes into. On a if you want a little bit more football focused answer, obviously defensively, continuing to be fast, and offensively, we want to get better about just knowing our assignments so we can do a little bit more. We definitely are trying to improve in the pass game, and then we're trying to, just stay sharp within special teams. So,
Well, coach, about 3 or so months ago, we had Mike Jasper on the NAIAFBALL Podcast, and he had mentioned that he was really hoping to start up with you a House of God
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me, tell me, tell me, are we getting a House of God Classic here in 2023?
We are not. I would
Ah,
love to do it. I would love to do it. As you know, we've added Evangel to the conference, and for the next at least 2 years, I believe we have to play everybody in the conference. Um, you know, we're going to see how it goes. They just gives us 11 straight games. I will, we voted on it, and I personally would like to play at least one, if not two, non-conference games, just to see different people. But I know how it gets hard to schedule sometimes, and I think when you have a conference of 12, uh, the easiest thing to do is just play the 11 other schools and not have to worry about scheduling ever, um, and just go like that. But I do think, and this is just my personal opinion, and I know the conference. I'm going to roll with whatever the conference does. I'm not going to complain, but I do think that if we do want to continue to show ourselves have a strong national presence, that it might be smart to get non-conference games.
heck, and I just love the idea of doing that Bethel on Bethel House of God matchup. That's a
Yes.
when you're in the NAI, it allows you to do certain things, especially when we talk about religion and Christianity, and you've got all these Christian schools, and I love it because one, it allows me to be a little more public about my faith. Heck, I'm looking at choir robes right there. I'm literally in our choir robe room. That's where we low budget do this thing. But yeah, and it allows us to be able to have fun like that and be able to do that. So I'm hoping for both of y'all's sakes that y'all are able to get that scheduled at some point.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to.
Well, Coach, we are very excited to see what the KCAC has to offer in 2023. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah.
Going through and seeing what everyone's got and seeing how Evangel adds to the mix and seeing how long it takes Terry Harrison to get Friends back up and rolling. And if McPherson can really put it together, they've been such a tough team over the last few years. They've nipped up, stepped up and nipped people. It's a conference where you never quite know who all's going to be good, and you got to be careful every single week.
For sure, and that makes it fun, and it also makes it stressful.
And Coach, just want to thank you for coming on the NAIAFBALL Podcast, and we'll see you in the fall.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. We got to do it again.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAFBALL Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.